the Milwaukee Bucks. Oh my god! I mean, what a mess! What a mess the Bucks have been this season. I'm going to pull up the standings here right now. If you look at the Eastern Conference, first of all, it's not pretty in the Eastern Conference in general. My God.
Well, the top is okay. Like the very top.
Oh, sure. But I mean, two teams in the East have winning records right now. You've got the 4 seed is a below 500 team right now in the East. I don't think it's going to finish this way, but this is how it is right now. But look at the Milwaukee Bucks, 2-8. And Giannis is putting up video game numbers still, and they're 2-8 on the season. Pretty rough. And now it's come out from Mark Stein that essentially if the Bucks are going to trade Giannis, he would have to go to them and ask out. That I think we kind of knew, but is this really where this is headed? I mean, I feel much better about the 76ers than the Bucks right now because the Sixers are at least just super injured, and that's the problem. I know Chris Middleton is out for the Bucks, but still, there's a part of me that feels like the Bucks just as a team fell off the age cliff, and that the only solution, and I'm not saying they're there today, but the only solution if it continues this way is going to be to blow this thing up.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there, right? So the Bucks were the Lakers remembering they're the Lakers and the Raptors remembering they're the Raptors in the second half, away from having the worst record in the NBA. Like that's how close it was to waking up here, a couple weeks into the season, and it's like Milwaukee's this bad. And a bunch of people have said versions of this, so I apologize that I'm like now the millionth person, but they were this bad, you would be like, well, Giannis must be hurt, right? Like that's the only thing you would go to, and he's not. He's played well. Their problem is the defense stinks, and their offense has not been good enough to offset it. And to your bigger point, there are no easy fixes here for Milwaukee. There's not we'll make this rotation change, make this scheme change, do this. They're trying to do some of that. Gary Trent Jr. was dropped from the starting lineup, but now is out with an injury. And yes, Chris Middleton coming back will help the offense, should help them avoid some of the droughts they go through. I don't know how you fix the defense. Damian Lillard yesterday against the Celtics. And Celtics are not always the best baseline comp here because they're so good. But they ran somewhere between, in the second half, 12 to 15 consecutive two-man actions designed to get Damian Lillard switched on to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, or Drew Holiday. Mm-hmm. And then they went to work on those plays. They didn't score on all of them, but they came really close. They got good shots out of every single one of those actions. That's like playoff level of, we are going to target this player till you either give up or you remove them. You don't see that in the beginning of November in regular season games, but it was Boston was behind. At that point, the game had tightened and was close. But I don't know how you get around it because now it's Brooks not just sitting at the rim anymore because they've got him guarding guys outside in Doc's scheme versus Budenholzer's scheme. Giannis is not the same level of help defender, whether it's just because he's not engaged or he just isn't. And the rest of the defenders around them aren't very good. They ended up having to double a bunch, which then caused all these other issues. And I'm using that game as the one example, but that stuff happens every night to them on that end of the floor. My only thought is I would lean just go all offense. Just try to go crazy, score a bunch of points, and hope that's how you can win games. Because I don't see a way you fix this. And to add the last part, there's no easy trade to make where it is, well, we'll trade this guy, we'll trade that guy. Because the guys they have to trade that are carrying enough salary, teams would be wanting to likely acquire them because, well, we're okay ourselves, so we need, this player, especially a guy like Chris Middleton, who has another year left of big money. Maybe you can find a deal with a Washington or somebody who's on a long-term rebuild where it's, we'll rebalance a little this way, but it's going to be tough for Milwaukee to figure this out.
And even then, remember, they're a tier 2 apron team, which means they can't aggregate salaries and trade. That's going to be an issue. It's not going to be easy to find a trade that works for the Milwaukee Bucks. Have to take back less salary than they send out to. There's a lot of complicating factors here for the Bucks to figure this out. So Keith, is this, Giannis clearly is not thrilled. Are we headed toward a Bucks break? Again, it's early. I'm not saying they're ready to do this right now, But if this continues by the trade deadline, let's say, or at least maybe the coming summer, are we headed towards a massive breakup in Milwaukee?
This summer, not this season. It's just too hard, right, to do that. But I think you're going to see major changes come there this summer. And that major change, first major change, may be it's time to move Giannis. And I agree with all the reporting. My personal opinion is you can't trade Giannis unless Giannis says, I want to go. And it'd be very hard for the current front office to say, all right, mea culpa, we're going to trade Dame now. We're going to spin him off in a subsequent deal because you're not going to get back anywhere near what you gave up for him because he's just, I think we're all seeing he's still good, but he's no longer like all NBA level Damian Lillard. It's also, we're 10 games in, so let's take one deep breath. Because it's the East, they're 3 games out of third, even though they're 2-8. So
that's insane.
You know, like it's not the end of the world here, right? Yeah, you're not even like 6 games out. I think you just got to wait it out and hope for the best and hope you can make some scheme changes, get Middleton back again. I would lean a lot heavier into the offense. I don't think Doc Rivers is going to do that. That's just not who he is as a coach, which maybe that's the change you need to consider, right? Now it'd be tough. That's 3 coaches in 3 years, and the last 2 only make it part of the way through their first, don't even make it 1 full season, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's tough, but it kind of is what it is. But yeah, I mean, inevitably, if this finishes with the Bucks missing the playoffs, not even in the play-in tournament and fully missing, you're going to have to really look at it. That may be where Giannis says, all right, I'm ready. And he's dropped now way too many breadcrumbs over the last few years of, I don't know if I'll still be here or not. Like that's, right. To me, that's kind of setting the stage for, all right, are we going to see something go, here that comes in a different way?
When there's smoke, there's fire. Kate, the one perhaps saving grace here from Milwaukee is, again, they are in the Eastern Conference. So take a look at their next 10 games. Toronto, Detroit, Charlotte, Houston, Chicago, Indiana, Charlotte, Miami, Washington, Detroit. There's a lot of winnable games in that stretch. Now it does get more difficult. You get Boston, you get Cleveland. Those are, that's the cream of the crop in the East coming up at the beginning of December. But still, and I guess the play-in tournament is in there as well, or the NBA Cup. Let me say the NBA Cup is in there as well. So there's going to be some other opponents coming up for them once that schedule gets all revealed. But in terms of where they fall in the tournament itself, but this next stretch of 10 games.
Yeah,
this is the get right stretch here. If they if they're still at the bottom of the East, or near the bottom of the East after the next 10 games, it's push the panic alarm in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'll stretch it out. I think the Atlanta game before Boston, I think that makes it that's an 11 game stretch if I counted right. So let's in that 11 game stretch, if they're not like 7-4 or 8-3, that's probably. And again, this is assuming Giannis doesn't get hurt or something, because that would completely change everything. But if if you don't run through that far better than where you're sitting right now, it's just not good enough. Yeah. Right? Then you're gonna have to, because now at that point we'll be 20 games into the season, and you're gonna have to really be like, all right, we've had a quarter of the year to look at this. Where are we going?